Today I'm taking a look at some more canceled Super Nintendo games. Wing Commander 2: Vengeance of the Kilrathi. Developed by Origin Systems, Wing Commander 2: Vengeance of the Kilrathi, a sequel to the popular Wing Commander game from a year earlier, was released in 1991 for MS-DOS and Amiga. In 1994 and 1995, a Super NES port was in development and had a planned release of May 1995. The game was to be a little bit different than the already released version of Wing Commander 2 and was to feature a slightly rewritten script, redone graphics for the Super NES, and a more arcade-like gameplay. The game was actually completely finished, and there were printed reviews of it in two video game magazines from 1995. However, the game was unfortunately never released for a couple of reasons. The Super NES was declining in sales by 1995 due to the upcoming N64 console, and Wing Commander 2 needed a special, more expensive chip to handle the more advanced graphics at the time. Nightmare Busters. In Nightmare Busters, you control a leprechaun as you make your way through 6 levels of side-scrolling run-and-gun fun. The themes of the levels include a village, forest, cave, and a castle. It was originally planned for a 1995 release by Nichibutsu, but was canceled due to financial reasons. But there's somewhat of a happy ending to this story. Development was resumed by Arcade Zone, and an official release of Nightmare Busters happened on December 23, 2013 by the development, production, and publishing company Super Fighter Team. The game was made available for both the Super Nintendo and Super Famicom, but is currently out of stock on their website as of late 2018. Sound Fantasy. Sound Fantasy was a music game in development from 1993 to 1994. It was previewed in video game magazines with the name Sound Factory, but a trademark for the name Sound Fantasy was filed by Nintendo in January 1994 with an expected release date of later that year in September. The game was going to come in a big box similar to Earthbound and would have included a mouse and mouse pad similar to Mario Paint. In 1994, GamePro magazine said, "What Mario Paint did for video, Sound Fantasy should do for audio." The game was canceled for unknown reasons, but the original creator of the game suspects Nintendo wanted to focus on games with less focus on music and more on advanced graphics. The game's key elements were later developed into Maxis's 1996 PC game SimTunes. A playable prototype version of Sound Fantasy was leaked online in April 2015. The Sound Fantasy prototype contains 4 different games on one cartridge. Similar to Mario Paint, this would have been a really unique game for the Super NES. Alright, I know you're probably curious about this one, so let's listen to a sample. Quick the Thunder Rabbit. Quick the Thunder Rabbit was developed by Skybox and published by Titus for the Commodore Amiga and CD32. Not much was known about a Super Nintendo version of the game until a video prototype build of Quick for the Super Nintendo was posted on YouTube in 2017. The game has no sound, but it looks as though quite a bit of work has went into it already, as it is fully playable. There are a few new features to the Super NES version that differ from the previously released versions. Unfortunately, the game crashes once you get further along into it at one of the levels with never-before-seen gameplay. While the public ROM for Quick the Thunder Rabbit is playable, the original ROM remains locked away to help protect the identity of the individual who released it. Socks the Cat. The idea of Socks the Cat was first unveiled and demonstrated by Kaneko on June 2, 1993 at the Consumer Electronics Show in Chicago. The game was to star Socks, the real-life cat of President Clinton and his family while he was in office as President of the United States. In the game, you control Socks as you make your way past spies, politicians, and the news media to warn Bill Clinton of a stolen nuclear missile launch device. It was originally going to be released in fall 1993. Despite being complete, Socks the Cat was then delayed and ultimately canceled due to closure of the publisher's office. In 2011, a prototype of the game was sold from a former Kaneko employee to a video game collector. The ROM was later dumped, and Socks the Cat was available to the public in cartridge format via a Kickstarter campaign. In 2018, hundreds of gamers received a copy of Socks the Cat in cartridge format for their Super Nintendo. Thanks for watching. Be sure to check out my other canceled Super Nintendo games video as well.